has been an absolute, utter, disgusting, unfunny, horrible, no good clown show in New Orleans over the past few years because of this guy right here. Wah, wah. There you go. Yeah, Dennis Allen replacements is what we're talking about. I'm going to go through internal replacement ideas. I'm going to go through external replacement ideas. Head to toe. To be honest, in October to have this conversation, early November, it's pretty disgusting. But I will say this. I do believe that major changes will be coming soon. Whether it's in a few weeks, whether it's in a couple of months when the season's over, I don't know when it's going to happen. But major changes need to happen, and I have a belief that they will happen. So be sure to subscribe, lock us in, and join Saints Now today. So that way you never miss an update around the black and gold. It's a tough season. I understand that. I know that the energy and the vibes are low. But what I can promise you right now is I'm going to be here trying to tell you every single day why this team shouldn't fix everything, how they can fix everything, and I'm going to be bringing it to you from a fan's perspective. I've been a diehard Saints fan since I started watching the NFL. I grew up more of a college football guy, but I'm a diehard Saints fan, and I pride my content on being Saints content, Saints videos by Saints fans for Saints fans. So lock us in and join the channel. All right, guys, honest to God, this has got to stop. It's time to call it. It's time to be done. Pull the damn plug. When you have a 26-52 overall record, honest to God, honest freaking question. How many people do you know in your work industry, in whatever career you're in, could put up this type of work? And I'm not saying you go 26 wins, 52 losses. Like, that's hard to kind of compare it to being like a teacher. Let's put it this way. If you're a teacher and you have 26 kids pass your class, 52 fail your class, do you think you're getting brought back? Do you think you're a good teacher? Probably not. Just throwing it out there. But 18-24, but what have we done recently? Look deeper than the results. Look what the results have done. You're on a 6-game losing streak for the first time since 2005. Oh, and by the way, fun fact, if somehow, some way, the New Orleans Saints lose to the Carolina Panthers this week, this will be the very first time since the 1999 season that the New Orleans Saints have lost 7 in a row. You know who the head coach was? Mike Ditka. You know what I was doing in the fall of 1999? Not much. I was not even a year old. And when you're a defensive-minded head coach and your defense is last in yards per game, is last in yards per play, is very, very bad when it comes to third down percentage. They're not good at keeping points off the board. When all of this is going on and you're a defensive-minded coach, really? Like, honestly, I don't even want to look at the offensive side of things. Offense strictly is being carried because of those first 2 weeks. The defensive side of shit is ridiculous. And let's just look at the results. Let's take a trip down memory lane, guys. I had to do this, so you get to do it with me. 47-10 win against the Panthers. Awesome. A lot of people said it's just the Panthers. Do it again. So we did. 44-19 win against the Cowboys. Great win. But every week, that win looks less and less meaningful because the Cowboys continue to lose games. So do the New Orleans Saints. And then disaster strikes when you take on Philadelphia at home. Close loss, very close loss. In week 4, this is when you decided that you had an absolute addiction to shooting yourself in the foot. Week 5 is when the tires just got torn off the car. Week 6, Spencer Rattler first start. Week 7, horrible game on Drew Brees' Hall of Fame induction night. And week 8, your offense puts up 2 field goals, and that's it. So this is what's tough about this. Because I ask the question, is this a desirable job? Like if I'm Mickey Loomis, if I'm Gail Benson, I'm trying to sell the New Orleans Saints to a head coaching candidate. What's my sales pitch? Hey, we're $63 million over the cap. You got an aging roster. You got guys that are, highly paid stars that aren't really putting up production. Oh, and by the way, we also are really bad at drafting. Oh, and by the way, we don't really have much depth. Oh, and by the way, for some reason, our team cannot manage injuries, and they get hurt. And then when they try to return, they get more hurt. Like, just at what about this job is desirable? That's not necessarily a knock on Dennis Allen, but it's a question to ask because it's like, hey, when we're about to go through all these head coach candidates, why would they want to be here? Honest question. I don't know, but I got to ask you this. If you're with me that Dennis Allen needs to be fired, just type fire down in the comments. Whether it's the fire emoji, whether it's the word fire, you just got to get it in the comments. The Saints cannot bring back Dennis Allen. They cannot. It doesn't matter that you have the injury excuse. It doesn't matter if you go on and win 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in a row. I don't care. I do not care. I could care less, to be quite honest. Fire Dennis Allen. Do the right thing here. Do right by your fans for once, Mickey Loomis. So you do have some options here. Let's go through them. You have internal options. And in terms of, am I willing? Klint Kubiak, it's kind of medium on me. Darren Rizzi, I would be interested as a head coach. And Joe Woods, I'm going to be honest, I'm good. No, I don't want a defensive-minded head coach. I also Joe Woods hasn't been historically successful as a head coach. So I'm just kind of in the camp of, if these are your three options internal, I think you just got to make an external hire. Like, continuity is wildly overvalued for the New Orleans Saints. Sometimes changing things up is a good thing. Not all the time. Sometimes continuity is also a good thing, but not all the time. I think the Saints need to make an external hire. I got a lot of I got a lot of targets. I got a lot of names. Got a lot of candidates that you're going to want to know about. But really quick, got to say shout out to Prize Picks for sponsoring today's video. You can actually get $50 when you play 5 instantly when you download the Prize Pick app and use code CLNS. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action with over 10 million members, and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks makes your game viewing experience so much better. And as a Saints fan, I need anything and everything to make my Sundays more bearable. If you use our code CLNS when you download the Prize Picks app, you will get $50 instantly when you play $5. Now, for Thursday Night Football, these are the projections I'm rolling with here. I like Tank Dell more than 4.5 receptions. Stephon Diggs, torn ACL. Expect Tank Dell to be a little bit more active for that Texans offense. I'm also going to take Garrett Wilson more on his receiving yards. I don't know. I wasn't really loving any of the Jets projections, but I was liking 63.5. I feel like that's pretty low for Wilson. And then Kaimi Fairbairn. I'm going to just have him making more than 1.5 field goals. So kick 2 field goals, and we're sitting pretty. And then I can make a good amount of money. So if you want to fade my picks, you want to tail my picks, I don't really care. Just make sure you do it with Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS. And you'll get $50 instantly when you play $5. Use code CLNS to get that $50 bonus when you play 5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. So Prize Picks, run your game. So head coach target number 1. And I bring him up number 1 because he's my favorite target, because he's the most popular name, and because he's a name that a lot of Saints fans have been mentioning. And we're live as we film this video. We go live every Wednesday afternoon around 4:30, so subscribe, turn on your noties. I asked the question, I said, who do you want to be the Saints head coach? This was the most popular answer. That's why he's the number 1 head coach candidate. He has been really, really good with Detroit since he's taken over in 2022. And not only is he smart, he's very creative. He's very wise, and he's just somebody who I think can stable the ship here. I think he can right the ship and make things easy, or make things better, and bring some stability, and also bring creativity and a young, fresh, innovative mind to a Saints offense that, to be quite honest, like, shout out Klint Kubiak from making it better than last year, but I'm just going to be honest, it's really not that inspiring in my opinion. Well, Detroit, they're kind of the opposite of the New Orleans Saints right now. Like, you could probably take most of these stats right here, and you could make them the New Orleans Saints if you go back to the first 2 weeks. But ever since then, that's not the case. Detroit has been scoring a lot of points. They've been getting a lot of yards. They've been converting a lot, and very often on third down. They don't turn the ball over much. They are very aggressive when it comes to passing the ball. They're really good when it comes to running the football, and they're good in the red zone. Like, what more do you want in an offense? And I would love Ben Johnson, but I'm going to go back to my point earlier. Why would he want to come here? It's a heartbreaker. It sucks to know that. But why would you want to come to New Orleans? Like, Ben Johnson had head coaching interviews last year, and he decided, I'm not really interested in any of those options. I'm going to go back to Detroit. I'm going to be the offensive coordinator. Maybe next year cash in a little bit more or in a better situation. Like, I don't think he was waiting for the Saints position to open up. I don't. It would be cool. It would be a lot cooler if he did, but unfortunately, I think this is the closest we're ever going to get to see Ben Johnson in some Saints gear. Shout out my girlfriend Maddie for making that jersey swap, if you will. All right, so head coach target number 2. Let's talk about Houston Texans offensive coordinator Bobby Slowik. And I was between Slowik and Girouard Johnson, but I think when it comes down to those two guys, nothing against Girouard Johnson. I'm very, very high on Girouard Johnson, and I think that whoever we do hire as a head coach, it would be really smart to bring him. Like, if you go hire Bobby Slowik as your head coach and you bring in Girouard Johnson to be your offensive coordinator, I'm all for that. I'm in full support of that move. He does come from the Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, similar to Klint Kubiak. He was with the San Francisco 49ers from 2017 to 2022. Fun fact, that was all the years I was in college. I graduated in May of 21, though, so shout out that extra year. And also shout out fifth years. Slowik, he's been good, man. He's been a very smart coach. He's managed the development of C.J. Stroud well. He's managed the offense really well, and I do have one question when it comes to Bobby Slowik. Like, if you bring him in, maybe you can avoid having to draft a quarterback because maybe he could unlock Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener. Both players have upside. Both players have not been good enough. Both players could be better. Maybe Bobby Slowik could open up that ability and open up the playbook and and unlock these two guys to make them a contributing part of the offense and honestly make them a lot more dangerous than a second-year quarterback and a rookie looked this year. Another head coaching target, again, I'm not in the camp of wanting a defensive-minded head coach, but if you were to go get a defensive-minded head coach, it's not Robert Saleh, it's not Bill Belichick for me, it's Mike Vrabel. And he is actually currently working with the Cleveland Browns as a coaching assistant and personnel consultant. He was with the Tennessee Titans from 2018 to 2023. In that time, he was the coach of the year. He is a defensive-minded guy, but look, we also saw the Titans play really well, and so when it comes to Mike Vrabel, if you were to bring him in, he's a guy that I would want to see make a really good and a surefire hire bars at the offensive coordinator position. This is why I'm not necessarily sure I want another defensive head coach. We've done it. We're in the midst of it. Show of hands. Anyone having fun? Anybody? Anybody enjoying this whatsoever? I'm not. Like, I know that you shouldn't just entirely rule out certain coaches just because of their philosophy when it comes to offense or defense, but I don't like it. We're in the midst of it right now. Something has to change. Whatever. But again, it's not like Vrabel's a bad option. I'm just saying, like, if I were making the hire, I would avoid a defensive head coach. But I also can recognize that Vrabel has done a lot of good things. He has a winning record, unlike Dennis Allen. He's made it to the AFC Championship game, unlike Dennis Allen, the NFC. But point being, he's made it. Hold on, wait, for the record. He's made it to the playoffs. Not Dennis Allen. Oh, won the division twice. Dennis Allen could never. 4 winning seasons. Dennis Allen could never. Coach of the year. You know what I'm about to say here. Dennis Allen could never. So, again, I'm going to pose this question. I've talked about offense. I've talked about defense. I'm in the camp of I want an offensive head coach. But what about you? It's time to speak your mind. It's time to share your thoughts and let me know what you want. If you're Mickey Loomis, if you're calling the shots, who are you picking? An offensive or defensive head coach? Now, there are a handful of honorable mentions, and to be honest, there's just a ton of names that I didn't even discuss. One name notably I did not mention today, John Gruden. Probably going to go into a full video around him because I think that he would be a really, really good option for the record for the New Orleans Saints. Bill Belichick, obviously defensive-minded guy. Question marks about whether or not he can do really anything if he doesn't have Tom Brady. It's a fair question to ask, but I'm kind of also like, hey, Bill Belichick is one of the best coaching minds in the history of the NFL, so if he's interested, you might as well bring him in for an interview. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. A lot of Saints fans, a lot of LSU fans. That's a pretty familiar name, if no ball, if you will. Todd Monken, the offensive coordinator with the Ravens. Look, Baltimore has a phenomenal offense, and he's been good this year for Baltimore. And I think that if you were to go and get a dual threat quarterback, a true dual threat guy, if you were to draft a Shador, if you're drafting Cam Ward, Todd Monken's a nice option to have because he has familiarity and he understands how to use Lamar at a very high level. Cliff Kingsbury, guys, I've been just blown away. I have been blown away, not just by Jaden Daniels, but the Washington Commanders as a whole. Cliff Kingsbury, interesting enough, he accepted a position with the Raiders and then backed out at the last second. So that part of things is still kind of weird. But look, if Cliff wants to get another head coaching job, I am not against bringing Cliff Kingsbury in. I think it would be a really, really good idea. And honestly, I think that he could bring some good coaches along with him. I think he could be a good draw for other players. And same with Steve Spagnuolo. Again, no interest in bringing in a defensive coordinator or defensive-minded coach. But, also, apologies for the typo on Steve Spagnuolo. Look, Steve Spagnuolo has won a few Super Bowls with the Kansas City Chiefs. Dennis Allen never did that. I don't want a defensive-minded coach, but if you're going to go get one, you might as well go get the one who keeps winning Super Bowls. That's kind of my thought process there. Now, Saints fans, if anything does happen, reminder, we're going to be going live. We're going to be updating you guys as coaching updates come in, as reports of, hey, maybe they're going to fire him, or no, they're not, and we're going to have to be miserable for another year. We're going to keep you guys informed every single step of the way, whether it's the regular season, off season, and anything in between. So y'all stay golden. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.